Okay, good morning, everyone. Dan Bates, President and CEO, Greater Hamilton Chamber of Commerce, and we are really glad that you could join us today. We have an exciting conversation lined up for you. So first of all, we're going to tell you a little bit about how this works. If you haven't been on here before, we are on a Zoom call. So if you have any questions, you can ask the speaker or put them in the chat box. If you are on Facebook Live, type your question into Tiffany and she'll repeat it to the speaker to get it answered for you. This will also be available later on our YouTube channel. So if you want to review some of what we're about to learn, you can always do that on YouTube later. So you know who I am. Our speaker today is going to be talking about security. So you think you have had security conversations before, you have, but guess what? The threat continues and it continues to elevate. So we are thrilled to have Ketan here with us. We're going to do self-introductions, which I think you're going to take care of, right, Laura?
I can do that. Hello, everyone. Glad you could be with us today. I'm Laura Merrill with the Greater Hamilton Chamber. Let's just go around and I will have each of you tell me who you are and what company you're with. Jay, let's start with you.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name is Jay Smith. I'm a 16-year sales veteran with Heartland Payment Systems. I've known Ketan for almost all of that 16 years, and he and I have worked closely together on many projects. When I heard about his coffee talk this morning on cybersecurity and knowing a little bit about his new company, I couldn't not be here. I'm dying to hear what he has to say. I think it's, well, because I do credit card processing, cybersecurity is a sister link, and it's just something that's that important. So I'm looking forward to being dazzled, wowed, kapowed. You know, I got my notepad right here. I'm going to take notes. I'm looking forward to that. So that's a long and lengthy intro, but thank you for the time. Glad to be here.
Thank you, Jay. I think you're putting Ketan on the spot, but
he is. He's going to tell me everything I did wrong. Let's put it that way.
Oh, all right. Shyam?
Hello, I'm Ketan Pema. I'm CEO and founder of Armoureye. Been doing this for about 12 years. Worked at a lot of the Fortune 500 companies here and within cybersecurity. We've ventured off. Ketan is my VP and uncle or CAO. So we've been in family business together almost, since I was a kid. So we ventured off and started doing this. Thanks.
Wonderful. Glad to have you with us today. Jill?
Hello, everyone. I'm Jill Cates. I'm with Easter Seals Career Connection, and I'm intrigued about the cybersecurity because there's a lot of young adults in our program that we serve that are interested in IT, and I'd like to hear more about the cybersecurity side of it. So anxious to hear.
Yes, cybersecurity is an increasing area that we all need to be learning about. So I'm super excited too. Abigail, would you like to tell us who you are?
I'm Abigail Tiefenthaler, co-founder of Savvy Sales Strategy. We're a marketing and sales agency for clients who provide services. And Ketan invited me, so I'm here.
Wonderful. Glad to have you with us today. Zach?
Good morning, Zach Bohannon, Senior Field Representative for Congressman Warren Davidson, Ohio's 8th District. I serve as his Butler County Field Representative.
Glad to have you with us today, Zach. Ben, I see you're on here.
Yes, good. All right.
Now
yes,
we
good
can
morning,
see
everyone.
you.
All right. Ben Cornish with First Financial Bank. I'm a community outreach and financial wellness officer, and just happy to be on to hear about all things cybersecurity. In our industry, that is something that's always evolving. So getting another perspective and angle about what's happening is always good to know. So happy to be here. Thank you.
Great. Glad to have you with us, Ben. And Steve, would you like to tell us who you are?
Hey, good morning, everybody. Steve Orosky, CMIT Solutions. We provide IT services for small business community. And we work with other IT providers like Armoureye and focus on the northeastern Cincinnati area.
Great. Glad to have you with us today. And Tiffany?
Hi, I'm Tiffany Grubb, Director of Membership and Marketing at the Greater Hamilton Chamber. Thanks for being here today, Ketan.
Thanks
All
for
right.
having.
That's everyone. So Ketan, we will let you kick it off.
All right, just give me a minute here. I will get my all right. So when I got to share, that might help. All right, there we go. And let me get the all right. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for taking time out this morning from your busy schedule. Really appreciate you guys coming. Just a little about myself. My name is Ketan Pema. I am the Chief Administrative Officer for Armoureye. A little background about myself. I'm an entrepreneur, definitely a father of a freshman at University of Dayton. I got my bachelor's in information technologies from University of Cincinnati in 1991. Thereafter, I worked in various technical and managerial positions for Fortune 500 companies and mid-sized companies, Coca-Cola, American Modern Insurance Group, and a couple of various companies in between. In 2005, I started full-time on my entrepreneur career, owned a couple of family-owned businesses in town, and in about around the pandemic, we started Armoureye. And what makes us unique in this area is I bring a lot of the business foundations, the old school of processes and foundations to the table. But what makes us unique in this space is my nephew. So we started up Armoureye as a dual uncle-nephew partnership, again, keeping the entrepreneurship and the family business together. And with my background in IT, old school, Ketan Pema, CEO, came to me and said he wanted to kind of follow the footsteps of, his father and me. And then we started Armoureye, and then he brings a lot of the modern technical aspects of what's happening in the world today. And everybody knows the world has definitely gone a little crazier with the pandemic, with the Russian war, and it's no longer, it's a worldwide war, and cyber is a concern, and it's something that we as an Armoureye feel that there's some need, and we would like to bring some solutions to the market. Is why we started Armoureye. Today, we're going to talk about the benefits of cyber hygiene. But before we get into it, I just want to lay out a little bit foundation of what cybersecurity is. Okay. There's always this question of the who, what, when, why. And we're going to kind of go through it a little bit and kind of explain how we and I and Sham feel about the solutions that we bring to the market. There's a false fallacy out in the market that cybersecurity is for the big guys and it's not for the small guys, right? And that is just a false belief that everybody feels secure, that I'm not going to get hit, I'm not going to happen, it's not going to happen to me. And if it does happen, I have I have solutions in place. But as the world keeps changing, the solutions are not good enough if you're not proactively doing it. So simple question I ask a lot of people: if you do get hacked tomorrow, what is your plan? Are you ready? And 9 out of 10 times, a lot of folks would say they're not ready or they have a plan, but it's not, good enough to either mitigate the problem or to be proactive about it. Okay. So cybersecurity is real. It's for small businesses and it's for everybody. Okay. The second question I ask is, if you were to get hacked, what would you do? So it's not a matter of if, but it's a matter of when, right? A lot of people are somewhat prepared or not prepared. Majority of, I would say about 90% of the folks, small businesses out there are not prepared for it, right? The big businesses, they have a lot of IT departments, they have separate cyber departments for them, but even when they are vigilant and have budgets that are out there, they're still proactively looking at it and they are still getting hacked, okay? Just back in, I think it was March of this year, maybe March or April, but it was definitely in the first quarter or second quarter, Coca-Cola company, the corporate company got hacked. And, they only got hacked. They have big budgets. They have everything, but, they still got hacked and got 64,000 worth of records. Again, didn't do a lot of damage, but they were able to penetrate and find a weakness in it. So even the big guys get hacked, and there's other cases that I can, we'll talk about other samples here in a minute. Okay. It's no longer something where, you just have, I will shut down my computer and I am safe in this world we live in. The world continues to evolve. Pandemic has come and gone. It's 2 years later. People are getting back to work. And as the world gets more digitized, the more it relies on automation, the world relies on technology. It is a 24/7, 365 cyber attacks are going to happen 24/7. Okay. Attackers and the hackers are getting a little more sophisticated. The tools are getting more sophisticated. And as small businesses or the small guy, how can we be on top of it is what we'll talk about here shortly. Okay. So here's one of the things that Shami and I kind of talked about in bringing solutions together. There's a lot of cybersecurity companies out there. And one of the solutions that we brought to the table is what's called an OSI model. Okay. OSI model stands for Open System Interconnection, but it's nothing more than a very simple, in 1980, 90s, the manufacturers got together and came up with a system to where they can talk together, where the hardware, the software, and everybody in between, the programming languages, can talk to each other and they talk about it. All right. So we'll deep dive a little bit into it. And again, this is the old school versus the new school that we talk about. And I just want to kind of explain and take a little bit time on what OSI is. Okay. Again, an OSI model is a 7-layer model of communication, session layers, and presentation. But I like to simplify it in 3 simple layers. You got your hardware layer, your transportation layer, and your software layer. Okay, it's that simple for me. In the hardware layer, you got your basic inputs of computer, right? It can be your cell phone, it can be your credit card information, it can be your tablets, it can be your mobile phones, it can be your laptops, or any kind of a device where we are putting information in. Okay. That's where all the protection needs to happen. That's where a lot of people feel safe about it, but that's the hardware layer. Okay. The other version where we see a lot of activities happening is on the transportation layer. Okay. What I call the transportation layer. And on this transportation layer, it's nothing more than your simple communication of your Wi-Fi, your internet connection. If you old folks remember, it's all the coaxial cable that we talked about before. But as the world gets more sophisticated and as we get more into cellular, satellite, and internet stuff, people are starting to attack that. So that's nothing more than a communication is what I call it. Okay, that's where we focus a lot of So when we do assessments and vulnerability, this is an area that we focus on a lot too. And the simplest version is the software layer. Okay, this is nothing more than the application and the presentation of the screen. Okay, again, these are very simplest form of the ability to talk to a customer and say, hey, when you do cyber attacks, the sophisticated hackers are going to start attacking on the hardware, software, and the transportation layer. Okay, the old school people did, or attacked on a hardware layer, and it was good enough, and we were satisfied. And that's where the fallacy comes in, saying, hey, I'm protected, I'll turn my computer off, and life will be good. But transportation is 24/7 software. People are finding loopholes and continue to attack in there. Okay. Reasons why you need to be proactive on listening on cybersecurity. Again, a lot of the fallacies are, well, if it happens to me, I'm ready. But what if certain things do happen? Brand reputation and credibility, right? Coca-Cola, for example, they only got hit with 64K of data, but the things that they had to do and let the customers know that they got hacked, that was a little bit more embarrassing for them. Okay, it's Coca-Cola, and they're supposed to have big budgets, and they still got hacked, right? So going to the market and letting everybody know that we got hacked was a little bit more of a financially and reputationally kind of took a hit on it. Okay, financial devastation, right? That's something you got to worry about. If you are down for a certain amount of days, how much is that going to cost you? Okay, there's a lot of soft costs, and there's a lot of things that a lot of people don't take into account. Colorado utilities, for example, they got hacked even earlier this year, and they had to end up paying the ransomware. I think it was like $400,000 just to get the data back. Okay, so it cost them $400,000, and also in addition to when they recovered, they got double billing that they had to send out. So again, the reputation, the billing, a lot of people were paying double for duplicate invoicing. And that was a whole nother nightmare that they had to recover from. So again, financial devastation it just takes a world on its own. So you gotta, again, prepare for it, okay? Legal ramifications. There's a lot of the bankers and the credit card companies out there, and then even compliant industries, they are really starting to crack down on reporting and making sure that you have somewhat of a compliance cybersecurity in place. And then we'll talk about there's certain frameworks of NIST that we approach, and there's a lot of methodology to what we do that you can get in compliance. Okay. It was back about almost 2 years ago. We do a lot of work in the hotel property management space, and Hilton brand got fined by New York State and Vermont State for not reporting that they were hacked. Okay, so again, they were able to minimize the financial devastation to it, but then 2 years later, when they found out, they got, the states came after him for not reporting it. So again, compliance is a big thing. And a lot of small businesses don't realize, but if you are not prepared for this, survey has come back and said that within 6 months, if people are not very well prepared for it, we've seen businesses go out of business just because they weren't prepared for that type of a loss. Okay. So here's the basic foundation on why cybersecurity is important. Okay. Now, I know this is somewhat of it's hard to see, but this is exactly what we're talking about. One of the things that within Armoureye, we look at, this is the old school, new school is what I talk about. If you look at the step ladder and you have 7 layers, and each one of the layers, the physical, the data, and the network layer, is what I compromise that in the hardware layer. Okay, this is where most of your you input your stuff and your data. Your transportation layer is a communication, and the software layer is your session layer, your presentation, and the application layer. Okay. So if you look on the left side of it is the old school model, and then everything on the right side are all the new types of attacks that we are starting to see. And when I say we, as in Armoureye, are starting to see within the space that we serve. And there's simple steps you can do proactively. You can sit and do this. If anybody's interested in, let me know, let Tiffany or Laura know, and I can send you this flyer out there, and if anybody's interested in looking at it. Okay, it's also on my website on Armoureye there on the bottom. If you go and look at it, there's a bigger picture of that. Okay, any questions anybody has, or if you want to chat me up, let me know. Okay, we'll continue to keep going. All right, those are the basic foundations on cybersecurity. When we talk cybersecurity, these are the areas we're going to cover. Okay, so one of the things we preach and proactively is cyber hygiene. So what are the benefits of cyber hygiene is what we'll talk about. But what is cyber hygiene? Okay, cyber hygiene is nothing more than your being security centric. Okay, everything that you're going to do proactively to protect your data. Okay, keep sensitive data secure. That's as simple as that. Whatever you have to do to keep your data, you got your passwords, you got employees that you have to be rely on and keeping, just know what you got to know and just keep your data sensitive. The bigger thing that we're starting to see is protection from theft and attacks, right? I would say in the last 2 years, more of the attacks are happening on employees leaving and, transferring. If you have an employee who was, your key manager, your key person, and they leave, and then, if they don't leave on any friendly terms, they have access to your system. So once somebody leaves, go ahead and change your passwords, go ahead and be a little overprotective of your data. Okay, that's so bottom line, be security in mind when we're talking about cyber hygiene. Okay, what are the two key benefits for doing this? Number one, what we're seeing is a lot of people are very reactive to when something happens. Okay, once an attack is happening, it's a little too late. Okay, one of the things that if you start, and we'll talk about all the things you can do to keep your data safe and to at least minimize the risk and keeping your data secure, is to be proactive. Okay, so one of the things walking away today is the things that you can do to be proactive versus reactive. Okay, so no longer are the days where you run an antivirus, for example, on a hardware on a PC, and you run the scan and then don't look at it. Get into a habit of looking at your logs, get in the habit of when some phishing thing comes along and saying, oh, it's just a computer problem. There's some, some sign into it. So take it seriously. Is the proactive versus the reactive, meaning, oh, it's just another log and I'm too busy to take a look at it. Okay. The other thing, the most important thing is what we're finding is minimizing operational interruption. Okay. I know in today's environment, a lot of we're doing more with less. A lot of people are just, it's just another annoying thing that we have to look at. So looking at the proactive logs, doing something about it, training your folks, you are in the long run going to minimize your operations and the cost of that. All right. So again, two key benefits: be proactive and minimize the interruption to your business. Okay. Let's talk about the different attacks that happens on the hardware layer. Okay. Phishing. A lot of folks out there today are already aware of the phishing, the malware, the virus, the ransomware, right? Simple solution, buy the software, run the scans, and everybody is doing it. And everybody has this is where that fallacy comes in and saying, I'm secured, I'll just turn my computer off and nobody can get to me. That's old school of thinking. Okay. And up till I would say 2005, just beginning of 2000, it was all good. But in the last 20 years, a lot of things have changed and things continue to get worse. Hackers are getting a little more smarter. They're getting a little bit more sophisticated, and as systems are more integrated and as we more rely on it, the hardware is no longer a only place to look at. Okay. Transportation layer. Okay. This is where your routers, your firewall kind of takes place, and this is where most of the communication takes place. Okay. Routing protocols. Okay. Firewalls, if you do not have an active, secure firewall, and if you don't have your ports blocked and allow certain people within your firewall to give you access data, a lot of the sophisticated folks are routing your firewall information via a weakness in the firewall. Okay. For that, and again, this simpler terms, not the techie folks that we talk about, and I'm just trying to oversimplify what the attackers are doing. So just having the routing of your information to a third party it's what's happening. Okay. One of the things, an example was, this just actually happened in July. There was a Hilton Garden in Cleveland just got hacked. And one of the things that happened, and I'm still kind of finding out on what really happened, but they had all their PCI compliant done, but the credit card at the bar got hacked. So as people were swiping the credit cards, all the credit card information was being routed to a third party, and they didn't even know that it was happening. Okay, transactions were going through, everything was happening, and they were only able to find out when the customers complained back and saying they were getting double charged, or and they started giving refunds, and it took them almost 2-3 months to figure out what was going on, and they were able to figure it out at that it was at the credit card. So here's an example of if you're not actively monitoring it and watching these things, then people are getting through it. Okay, flooding. There's a lot of, this is what I'm talking about, the 365, 24/7, 365. There's a lot of hackers out there just trying to find loopholes within your firewall and continuing to just flood your firewall. It's just like just trying to put tons of information on your firewall and just trying to find weaknesses and trying to slow you down. Okay, you'll see that. Sequencing and prediction. This is somewhat new to what we're seeing out there. And this is almost close to a human behavior of what hackers are doing. And what this is, if everybody now, especially everybody working virtually, working from office, using different, standard, non-standards is what I would say on computers. What hackers are getting smarter is, if they're going to watch you work, they're starting to watch when you get up, when you send email, the words you use, and they're trying to simulate all your work behavior and methodology, and they're trying to sequence that and predict your work habits, and then send emails out or whatever they need to do to hack it. And that's kind of a new threat that we're seeing out there. Okay. Software layer. Okay. Again, I'm gonna kind of go through these. These are a lot what we see on the software. And again, I am oversimplifying a lot of this, but a lot of this happens on the transportation layer. But then also on the software layer, there's a lot of port mapping, software phishing, email transfer. The software phishing is a lot of, it's similar to an email. Somebody will come in and say, hey, I got an email, and, go buy. We just got a customer that got an email from somebody saying, hey, to go out, it was from a manager's email that got hacked and went to the controller to say, go buy, $1,000 credit cards, no, gift cards, not credit cards, gift cards from Amazon. And, she thank God she was a little vigilant about it and called him and said, hey, why are you trying to buy $10,000 worth of gift cards? So there's a lot of those type of protocols that on the software that people were trying to do it. So, they get the information from the transportation layer, and then there's always this presentation of the information trying to mimic who you are. So that's why there's a lot of things on the software, on the application layer, on the presentation layer that you have to start watching and then make sure of it. Again, I'm oversimplifying on the software layer side of it, but just know there's there's the port mapping similar to it. Phishing happens on the hardware, but there are software phishing and emails. But more importantly, just watch your emails is where we see a lot of this on the software layer. Okay. So what are the immediate steps you can take to start avoiding here? So here's where all the benefits, if you're taking notes, this is where obviously you guys can watch it again, but here's where if you want to take notes, this is some actions you guys can take away from it. Okay. Audit. We've faced companies that have grown so quickly, they don't even have a plan on an inventory of what's out there. So first thing I would do is, get a cybersecurity technology plan. Do you even know what you have? Do you know how much hardware you have? Do you have aligned software with it? Do you have the right protocols on your firewall, on your router? Okay. We just did an installation for a small insurance company here in town in Cincinnati, and they were an insurance company and a financial broker. And, they had everything on one firewall. And the only simple thing once we did an assessment, we just took the firewall and just separated the two out. Okay. So that way we're just simple things you can do to secure your technology plan, right? So it was they had one firewall, we bought them two firewalls and just separated it out. So the brokerage side only talks to the brokerage side, and insurance guys only talk to the insurance guys. So there's no crossover of data. Okay. Second thing is security awareness training. A lot of folks out there, this is one of those ongoing things, and it's a soft, here's another training thing, I don't have time. This is really starting to come into play, that if you're taking a few minutes and, at least once a month, once a quarter, even if you have any new employees in an orientation, tell them what your cybersecurity plans are. If something would happen, training is another thing that we starting to see to get in front of all these folks, right? Because that's where once it happens, you can catch it before it gets too bad. That's the point there. Okay. When you're onboarding new employees, let them know what your policies are. Have a written policy on what your cyber, what your cyber plans are. Okay. Another important thing you can do is hire an ethical hacker. Okay. Believe it or not, as interesting that is, that, he's a hacker, but it's ethical. These guys are out there, they exist, right? And majority of how the industry is learning, these guys are coming back and saying, hey, we did this and this is how you do it. And, for some reason they have a conscience when they get back, or they got, caught on what they were doing. And that's how we're learning all these new techniques on what's happening and what these guys are thinking. And more importantly, even these hackers are mainly not on the US based, but they more, overseas with China, Korea, Iran. They're just finding all kinds of systems to get back to the US and US companies. Okay. Bringing third parties. It's always, sometimes time is a essence for a lot of people. But more importantly, what we find from our experience, looking from outside in instead of inside out, there's a lot of observations, simple observations that we make and simple solutions that we just point out that doesn't even cost money. we had a property management company just right when the Russia-Ukraine war happened. We did an assessment, everything was good. The simple thing that he had, his software was a Russian-based company. It was a good company, reputation was good, but he didn't realize that it was a Russian-based company. So we just kind of gave him a couple of options on what we thought were good antivirus solutions, and that was changed, cost him $700. So again, just having a third party, you can bring easy solutions to the table. Okay. Well, just again, what we talked about, the risk audits, right? We can bring out again on your transportation. I'm sorry, on your hardware, transportation, and on your software layers, we can simplify life for you and telling you what are the easy steps you can do and what are your big risks, right? One of the things that we recommend highly is every, twice a year, at least go in and look at your technology plan, be it your technology plan and more even your cybersecurity plan. A lot has changed in 6 months. Okay. This goes back several years ago, but Verizon as a communication company got hacked, and I forget the details behind it on what was the outcome, but it was a very simple thing that happened that they forgot to do. There was an intern that put in a new system in, and I think it was a firewall that he put in, but they forgot to change the default password, the admin password. These hackers are very simple. They're going to get in and they were able to hack Verizon on something like that. So again, having, just you have good intentions, you have good practices, but again, following behind them and then just checking your audits and doing a follow-up just to make sure that when technology changes, you're in sync with all these things. Okay. So again, good practices to have. A lot of folks in small businesses, a lot of big companies will have secure data centers. They'll have locked environments. They'll have a lot of, lockdown solutions. But as a small company, we see a lot of servers sitting outside. We'll see a lot of, passwords that people can get to. So just placing a barrier to your network. If you have a firewall or if you have a router, put it in a data closet, have it locked where nobody can get to it. Just simple things like that, right? Just instead of sitting it outside on somebody's on a desk or in your lunchroom, put a lock on it. Okay. One of the things that we see, especially in small to medium-sized businesses, separating IT duties and cyber duties. A lot of what we see are a lot of folks are just the help desk, enough folks out there just to put fires out and, break fix type stuff. And nobody is really worried about the cyber stuff, right? If the automatic patches happen, if this happens and certain things happen, they just don't have time to do it. So separating your IT and cyber duties is something we recommend highly. And when we say cyber duties, you don't need a IT guru that just graduated to do that. It can be your accounting guy, it can be your HR guy, it can be something that's very simple, but just separating the two duties, it kind of keeps the checks and balances just to make sure all your audits are right, make sure all your things, it's just more of an accountability type duty. Okay. One of the things we see is regular updates and patches on a computer, right? A lot of folks have saying, hey, I'm not going to do the latest version of it and not update their patches, especially on computers and servers. The theory out there, it's going to break something, it's working. They have a bad experience that, I did the latest patches and it broke something. Okay. But regularly updating your patches and computer servers is one of the ways to really protect yourself against cyber risk. Okay. Here's one thing that we're finding, especially after the pandemic, when everybody was working in the office, they went home, and companies got caught not having enough computer systems, and everybody started using their own devices from home. We're going out and making recommendations that company buy their own computers. And right there, you will solve a lot of your problems, because you will have standardization on your hardware to allow, not allow people to get back to your data and stuff. So again, that's another way of minimizing your risk. One other thing that we're seeing also in the future is, if a lot of people will have a plan, okay, but here's what it comes down to, guys. If you are not actively monitoring and managing your incidents, that's the key to all of this. All right, we talk about if and when, right? When it's going to happen, but if it happens, what are you going to do about it is the question. How are you going to manage it? Yesterday we just got a call from the same customer that insurance company. He just got some kind of a phishing scam that happened, and he was within 5 minutes, on my phone, lighting up my phone saying, hey, what is it? He sent me a picture of the screen, and, we were able to resolve it. And again, being with the financial industry and doing what he managed it, and we were watching it, we got it monitoring, and we're watching him. So at least you're able to minimize it. So again, proactively, and if you take nothing away today, guys, I'm telling you, monitoring and managing your incident is going to keep you from a disaster. Okay. So what are the takeaways from today? A comprehensive plan. What does a comprehensive plan are made of? Hardware, transportation, software. You have to be vigilant in all three areas, guys, is what I'm trying to say today. Okay. And most importantly, be proactive about it. If you are just going to assume the old school of, I have a virus, I ran the scan, it fixed it, I'll turn the computer off and it's going to go away, I promise you it's going to come back. Okay. So again, be vigilant on a lot of things. Without the plan, here's what's going to happen. And we talked about this earlier: brand reputation, financial devastation, legal, and obviously, loss of business. Okay. So what are the few things that you have to take away? Plan, guys. You got to plan your cybersecurity. Again, it's a matter of when you get hit, what are you going to do about it? Be proactive about it. Okay. Again, not if, but when, right? And we've seen people, you could be like Colorado and pay them the 400,000 ransomware and just to get your data back, right? We see a lot of encryptions, and a lot of people out there think that they do backups, but have you tested your backup? Have you tested your backup? A lot of things, hackers are getting in and attacking your backup. So even your backups aren't safe, and, again, get professional help, third party. Okay. Even if you have a IT department, especially when it comes to cyber, have a different cyber person have a different company take a look at it. Okay. Again, thank you for your time today. Hopefully people learned a lot today. Here's my information. If anybody is interested in having a chat with me, I'd be more than happy to sit down and do things. But again, thank you for your time. Hope this was good. And that's it. Any questions?
I have a question, big surprise. I have heard that some transactions are safer to do on your phone than on your computer. Is that true or not?
No. I mean,
Okay.
again, depends on, if they're going to hack your phone, they're going to hack your phone, right? It doesn't matter. We are starting to see There's more software and protection available on your computer and hardware because there's a little bit more of a lockdown standards that people operate. And again, depends on the company. But, you know, if people are going to hack on your phone, you know, if people are going to hack your cell phone or anything, you know, they're going to hack it. I mean, we thought, you know, Hilton Garden thought the credit cards were safe, but the credit card got hacked. The credit card terminal got hacked. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I asked that because I had heard that it's, you know, your phone is encrypted, that it's safer.
Again, it goes back to that hardware layer, right? So the hardware layer may be safer, but once you transmit it, now you're gone, right?
Okay.
I mean, even one of the things like with the Hilton Garden thing, one of the things that we recommend, you know, so even the credit cards, for example, right? Credit cards are encrypted, but now if you don't have another, you know, so the attackers are taking the encryption and there's a new thing called tokenization, right? And, you know, somebody explained to me, and again, Jay kind of, I had asked him about this language is, you know, when you're taking encryption, it's like talking English to German, but you know, once you're translating it, you know, you're the words, now you're taking the words and encrypting the words, right? So again, being a little bit more vigilant and doing the tokenization is just another protection of layer. That's just an example of it. So even if you have your cell phone and you're transmitting it, the minute you hit return and sending it, it's doing the Wi-Fi stuff. And again, from your hardware, you're going back to the transportation layer and it's free game after that.
Hey, Ketan, so now that you've explained the pitfalls of cybersecurity, what does Armoureye do for their customers?
You know, one of the things that we do, so number one, we, you know, Shami and I, we take our experience and then we're bringing it to the small world, we bring it to the small to medium sized companies. And what the first thing we do is we do an assessment of your environment. So bottom line, we're a cyber consulting company is what I would consider myself, and approaching it, you know, from ground zero up and then looking at all the layers that we talked about. So number one, we'll do an assessment. Coming back from an assessment, we'll come back and give recommendations of, hey, you know, you should do these simple things, and here's what's going to make you in compliance. So whatever your most critical risks are, those are the ones we're going to work on first to make you protected and not make you vulnerable. Does that answer your question, Jay?
Yes.
Okay.
You're a consulting firm.
We're a cyber consulting firm, correct? We see a lot of our competitors mainly are either into the hardware, software, and very specific about one threat. And when Sham and I took this approach of who we're going to be, one of the things, you know, the consulting word comes in mind, and being more comprehensive about it, right? That's what separates us from our competition. So we're not going to come in here and say, hey, here's a perfect solution, right? We had one customer that we took on last year, and, you know, he came back and said, hey, I need this and I need this and I need, you know, he just had XYZ solutions. And then when we did the assessment, we came back and we were able to not spend a lot of the things that he thought we needed done. We spent about $30,000 in technology upgrades, and then we just made a recommendation to go and buy cyber insurance. So if he got hacked, you know, he's cyber insurance. So we were in compliant with him. We used this methodology called NIST, and we made him compliant to it. He's doing all the audits and everything that we recommended, and his cyber insurance came down, kind of stuff. So again, you know, these are business solutions that we can bring to the table. Doesn't necessarily mean it has to be a technology solution, but there's a lot of other solutions that we bring to the table that we recommend, and that's what.
Yeah, one of the solutions that you were talking about, or you alluded to, was training of the staff. I think that was pretty key. That was a really good point. It's one thing to have an IT department. It's one thing to have a MSP be involved, but a lot of people just say, now that I've done that, responsibility is taken care of, I can move on, keep in mind the main thing. And the staff doesn't get any wiser. They don't grow in the education of it. And I think the fact that you were talking about training a staff on what's important, fishing, that's easy. Everybody knows what fishing is. And I'm not downplaying that, but your ability to train above that so that they really understand, are they working from home? Are they working on a cell phone? Where are your stakeholders getting involved? People sending like invoices electronically and clicking pay here. Just a small example of where things can get intrusive. But I think you really hit on something there. A lot of people just want to stop because they talk IT language and they'll stop there. But the ability to train the idiots on the staff is kind of a big deal. And I think you made a good point of that.
Oh yeah, I mean, we seeing trends in the industry. I mean, Verizon, right? An intern. This guy knows better. He's an intern. He's been educated academically what to do from an IT stuff. But, you know, Steve, you'd be the first one to tell you change the admin password. That's basics of basics, right? But Verizon didn't do it. Nobody came back and tell, you know, there was a checklist to say, did you change the password?
So I should change my password from password to something else?
I would, if I were you, especially your bank account.
All right.
You know, and then, you know, Dan, you mentioned, is a cell phone safer than a computer? You know, how much banking do we do on your cell phone today? You know, nobody gets on. Everybody's looking at the app. Everybody is doing investments. Everybody's, you know, transferring money from one account to the other right there. You know, we don't have any encryptions on it. I mean, they say we do, but you know, I mean, now, you know, we got even software that you can put on you know, the new word in the industry is an endpoint device. You know, they don't talk about a cell phone and a tablet and a computer. You know, everything is just, it's an input device. You know, how do you put on a credit card term loan? You know, how's that any safer, right? So it's as the world does change, you got to change with the world. And the most important part in doing this is the human factor. You know, these guys are a little bit so much sophisticated, getting so much better at what they do. They can sit somewhere in a basement, God only knows where, trying to find a weak link in doing something. And, you know, they're watching us, they're watching our behavior, they're watching us online. And the minute we have one weakness, they're just going to exploit it. Is the thing, you know. So a lot of people, especially when it, you know, so when it comes to training, you know, training your new employee that comes in, when you terminate an employee, make sure you go back and do the IT stuff that you need to do, and make sure you're proactively doing it. You know, just don't have the IT guys doing it. Make sure HR follows up and say, hey, did you terminate the password? Did you get the car, you know, the access card? Did you change all the passwords to the mainframe? You know, a lot of the things that we recommend, even on an admin server, for example, you know, have an admin server, but have a super admin right behind it, kind of stuff. So again, those are the small stuff you can do. So even if you get hacked, or if your IT, you know, if a CIO of a company leaves, you know, make sure you go back behind them and change everything. You know, I mean, let's you know, we're seeing a lot of that kind of stuff into it. You know, the Baltimore, you know, the Marriott in Baltimore, you know, they got hacked again. Back, these are all recent hacks. And there was an airline company, the reservations were written on paper, and they were sitting and booking it online. So all of a sudden they got hacked. You know, the server at the Baltimore property got hacked. All of a sudden they got access to everything. And so they were able to access the employee, the pilot's flight information. They were able to access the reservations. They were access to the credit cards and everything. So again, you know, it's all, you know, so it's all important stuff. Any other questions?
Well, they're being awful quiet, Ketan, so I think they might be out of questions. Anybody else? Hey, is there anything on Facebook yet, Tiffany?
Nothing on Facebook yet.
I
Okay,
think
cool.
everybody's saying I have a lot of work to do.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, and it's coming up on my time anyway, so.
Yes.
Any final comments, thoughts?
All right. Well, Ketan, we appreciate you being with us. Definitely being in touch with you. I think we'd like to do a couple more in-depth either coffees or maybe office workshops.
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to do it.
Yes, cybersecurity is just such a huge issue, and I totally agree with Jay, educating the staff, all the people that are working with all these things, because it's just so easy to click on an email that looks like it's from, someone important in your company, but it's not really.
No.
And taking those steps to have protocols in place to prevent things from happening. Our next coffee is in a couple weeks, September 27th. Stephen Roller with Primary Health Solutions is our guest speaker that day. That's 9 to 10 a.m. here back on Zoom. So I appreciate everybody for being here. Ketan, thank you very much. Great information, and we will see you all in a couple weeks.
Okay, thanks,
Everyone.
everybody.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Have